Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. So now we're moving on to harf at-tawaqqa'. Okay, waqa'a is to occur, and tawaqqa' is to hope to occur. So now we're in the harf, and we're now here on the number 11, huruf at-tawaqqu'i. Now regarding huruf at-tawaqqa', he says harf at-tawaqqa'. Not huruf because only one, it's qad. Now the word qad comes on both madi and mudari. So he's explaining what meaning qad would give when it comes on a fi'l madi. He says وَهِيَ فِي الْمَاضِي لِتَقْرِيبِ الْمَاضِي إِلَى الْحَالِ. When you bring qad onto a fi'l madi, it has two meanings. One is to show that it has recently occurred. What you could say is it shows the present perfect. I think called present perfect tense. Okay, so for example, قَدْ رَكِبَ الْأَمِيرُ is not necessarily for emphasis, but it's just to show أي رَكِبَ الْأَمِيرُ قُبَيْلَ هَذَا. So رَكِبَ الْأَمِير, the Amir rode, and قَدْ رَكِبَ الْأَمِير, the Amir has ridden, meaning he's gone on to it, and it kind of shows that this event is still in place. So he has ridden, he sat on his horse, and he's still there. So this is called taqreeb. Yes? Does it make sense? So you can translate it as has. So sometimes you don't have to bring the emphasis, it's just to show it has just occurred. Okay? Following? And this is why, وَلِأَجْلِ ذَلِكَ, because this qad, when it comes on a fi'l madi, it gives the meaning of he's just done it. It's called harf at-taqreeb aydan. It's also called harf at-taqreeb. Understood? Yes? Now he says here, وَلِهَذَا تَلْزَمُ الْمَاضِيَ إِنْ يَقَأَ حَالًا. This is why we call this, this is why qad must come, according to him, on a jumla with a fi'l madi if it occurs as a hal. Now there are many examples, but I just went blank, I couldn't think of any from the Quran. What happens normally? So the normal nuhat, what do they say? If you have a jumla becoming a hal, and this jumla is fi'l madi, you must have qad. Yes? So for example, you say here, جاء الطلاب, the students came, but the teacher had already left. وَقَدْ خَرَجَ الْأُسْتَاذ. Teacher had already left. Okay? جاء الطلاب وقد خرج الأستاذ. Understood? استغفر الله ربي. Yes? Now, this is the general rule. They say what? You must have the word qad on the jumla haliyah. That's what he's saying here. وَلِهَذَا تَلْزَمُ الْمَاضِيَ إِنْ يَقَأَ حَالًا. So I've seen some nuhat, what they've said is that this rule is broken so often, it's hard to even make it a rule. Majority of the times you have qad. But many times you would see in the tafsir, or like you've got Jalalain or Baydawi, they put a qad in to explain that, okay, this is waw haliyah and the qad is mahdhuf, you can remove the qad. But it's not like, okay, this is a shaz masala, one off, you get the qad is missing. You have quite a few. Let's say, for example, like 10%, 15%, 20% of the times you find a jumla fa'liya, you have a jumla fa'liya which is mudari becoming the hal, and there's no qad. So with so many exceptions, 10% is quite a lot, you can't. So this rule then is, even though it is mentioned as standard that you must have qad when the jumla fa'liya madhawiyya becomes the hal, you have to bring qad. So many cases you don't have the qad is dropped and it still becomes hal. So you can make a rule of thumb, but not a rule of general rule, because so many exceptions. So that's one way of looking at it. But it usually has qad, it doesn't have to have qad. Think of it that way. Understood? Yes? Everybody following me? Okay. وَقَدْ تَجِيءُ لِلتَّأْكِيد. This is the second meaning. So one meaning is taqreeb, to show has meaning, like the event has just taken place and it is still relevant, still in place. And the second meaning is ta'keed. Yes, like to create emphasis. For example, إذا كان جوابا لمن يسأل هل قام زيد. If somebody said هل قام زيد, you could say قد قام زيد. Yes. So in قد قامت الصلاة, in the إقامة, what is it going to be? تقريب or تأكيد?
So the way they would look at their profile, they stop looking at people, they stop looking at them.
تأكيد could be تقريب. It has just stood up. You could argue for both of them. Yes. So sometimes it's flexible to have both meanings. Okay? Because taqreeb, when something happened so recently, you're also sure of its occurrence. So you could argue that way. So sometimes you have a bit of flexibility where you can see both are possible. Yes? Okay? So when it comes on a fa'il madi, it gives taqreeb or it gives ta'keed meaning. When it comes on mudari, it gives the meaning of taqleel. Sometimes, seldomly, sometimes. For example, you have here, إِنَّ الْكَذُوبَ قَدْ يَصْدُقُ. That a liar, kadhub, a person who always lies. Kadhib, kadhub, fa'ul. The one who always lies. So a liar, he speaks the truth. So a liar sometimes speaks the truth. So, yes. وَإِنَّ الْجَوَّادَ قَدْ يَبْخَلْ. So you have two words. One is jawad, that's al-farasu sari'. So you have إن الجواد قد يعثر. المنتخبات يعثر. So sometimes a race horse, he also stumbles. And Jawad is a generous person. So إن الجواد قد يبخل. Sometimes a very generous person, he also withholds his spending. So here in these two examples, the particle قد is for what? The particle qad is for taqleel, to show how seldom it took place. Okay? Yes? However, this is usually only in the Quran when it comes with Lafz Jalala. When the fa'il is to do with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not for taqleel, because it wouldn't make sense. It means here for ta'keed. So qad can come for tahqiq, but usually this is when the fa'il of the verb is Lafz Jalala. So for example, وَقَدْ تَجِيءُ لِتَحْقِيقٍ كقوله تعالى قد يعلم الله المعوقين. So you have here, indeed Allah knows those who cause hindrance in deen. So يعلم is muhaqqaq, emphasis because of qad. Yes? So when qad comes with يعلم, or when qad comes with a verb whose fa'il is the word Allah, that in that context it will be for ta'keed and tahaqquq. But apart from that, when it comes to fi'l mudari, it's going to be for taqleel sometimes. Okay? You following? Everybody with me? وَيَجُوزُ الْفَصْلُ بَيْنَهَا وَبَيْنَ الْفَعْلِ بِالْقَسَمِ. Now he's mentioned a few rules regarding qad. He says here, you can bring a fasl between qad and the verb, because qad precedes a verb. It's غير عامل, and it precedes a verb. But you can bring, it doesn't have to be muttasil. You can bring a fasila between the qad and the harf. So you can say qad wallahi ahsanta. Instead of saying قَدْ أَحْسَنْتَ وَاللَّهِ يَا وَاللَّهِ قَدْ أَحْسَنْتَ, if you wanted to, you could say قَدْ وَاللَّهِ أَحْسَنْتَ. Understood? Now another rule he's mentioning here is, sometimes you can remove the verb after it, if it's understood from the context. Okay? Now in this poem, what he has here is, وَكَأَنْ is supposed to be قَدْ, and the noon is supposed to be like a small qad, qadin. This is tanween tarannum. So it's qad, but for tarannum he put qadin. Some have it as qad, some don't have the noon. So that's a different way of writing it. And it's really qad, and the verb ka'an qad, as though it has. Now what's the verb after it? It's understood from the previous sentence. So from the word you have qad, and after the word qad is a verb mahdhuf, and you can understand what the verb is from the sentence before. Understood? Yes? Now this poem, I can translate it for you. I can't forget what it means. I checked in the shuru of Shaykh ibn Aqil, I checked other places. Don't really understand it properly. What happens is, Nabigha al-Dubyani, he's one of the shu'ara of the Jahiliyyah. So he's talking about his mahbub and how he's leaving and departing. And he's saying afida, some have azifa. Both of them mean the same thing. Waznan wa ma'nan kilahuma sawa. So the time, tarahul, journey, traveling. So the time for moving on, tarahul, rihal, kal'an al-rahil, traveling. So I mean, we have to leave now. We've met you here in the small semi or whatever. Now we have to go. However, غير, when you have غير أن, this means however, not except. Some people translate it as except. That doesn't make sense here. Yes, however. أفيد الترحل غير أن ركابنا. And rikab means stirrups, where you put your jockeys put their feet in when you're traveling on a donkey or a horse. Well, jockeys are horses, but horses or the saddle. So the bottom part of the saddle where you put your feet in is called the rikab. لما تزول برحالنا. زال يزول is a فعل ناقص. And rihal here refers to, some have said the hawda, and some say, so the hawda is dismounted from the camel, and it's just left, and you camp in that. So he's saying here, our rikab are still in the hawda. And it as though ka'an, because it's ka'anna, حرف مشبه بالفعل مخففة. It is as though قد زالت, that they are no longer there, or they're there. I don't understand. The people have mentioned the explanation. I couldn't get my head around it. I tried for quite some time. I didn't get my head around it. I'm just telling you now, so if you find it difficult, so somebody else is teaching out in this video, they know, well, I find it difficult, you can do your own research. Because sometimes what happens, the shuru, they just sweep over it. So then, is it easy? Am I supposed to understand it? Or is it difficult and they don't understand it as well? So I'm telling you, I don't understand it. The shahid is qad. The verb after qad is mahzuf. I know the vocabulary, I know the story behind of it. I don't get what he's trying to say. So, and it's not poetry, it's not literature, so I'm just going to say I don't understand it, I'll leave it here. But the istishhad is qad. The istishhad is qad. The after qad, the fa'il is mahzuf. And he says, ay ka'an qad zalat. Yes? So basically he doesn't want to go. He's got his mahbub left in the camp, and he has to go now. And they're departing from those friends that they met there, and he's departing. Okay? So this is it. So he says, qad is harf al-tawaqqa, and it is for madi. It comes on madi. When it comes on madi, it gives the meaning of tahqiq, and it can also give the meaning of taqreeb, just has. And it comes on a fa'il al-mudari, then it has the meaning of tahqiq for lafz jalala. And apart from lafz jalala, it gives the meaning of taqleel sometimes. Yes? Any questions? Okay, we stop here today, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.